Good afternoon, Craig. How are you?
I am numb. Let's say that. I'm a little bit numb right now. It's been an intense couple days.
You could say that. It's probably the most intense couple of days in recent history for the Giants. But not as unexpected as people, a lot of people were taken by surprise by this trade. I was taken by surprise that they did it. But I'm not surprised that they did it, if you know what I mean. I didn't think they'd get the right offer. That's why they wouldn't do it. They wanted to do it. And I'll go through all of that. I just want to hear what you have to say first.
Well, okay. I will say that I didn't see it coming because I thought the asking price would be too high. And then, believe it or not, I saw a report from the Chicago Tribune right after the the trade happened, and it said, again, I don't know what to believe, but their NFL guy up there is pretty wired in, and he said that evidently Beckham went into kind of like a panic mode and asked for a team meeting because he wanted to defend some of the things that he said in the last couple of weeks. But of course, you don't have everybody at the facility. Guys are, on vacation, and there's some guys there rehabbing and so forth. So up until I read that article, I just thought this was the Giants, talking smack, Gettleman flapping his big mouth about, we didn't sign him to trade him, and you don't give up on talent. So I was kind of ticked off that they just basically, thumbed their middle finger at the fan base and said, hey, we're going to say what we want and do what we want, which of course they're entitled to, but, fan base is always important. And then I read this article and this report from the Chicago Tribune that actually, Beckham was still mouthing off to some degree, and it automatically flipped the switch with the organization that, this is way too much. We can't handle this anymore. This isn't what we want. We're going to take what we get for him. And we've already got some dialogue open with the Browns, with Vernon. Let's pursue that. Landry's there. Might be a good fit. And whatever they're willing to do, let's go. And evidently, Beckham sensed it was coming because they asked him about what teams he'd like to be traded to. He complied with the list of teams, but he went into panic mode and, like I said, and tried to rescue it with some type of team meeting to defend some of the things that he said. So I went from really ticked off with the Giants to, God, this guy just seems to constantly be stepping in it and blowing it. Doesn't he realize he's one of the biggest names in sports? And why can't he be like Larry Fitzgerald? So
Julio Jones.
Or Julio Jones. Yeah, exactly. So I've gotten to the point, why does he have to be that way? There's many things that I'll defend him on. But when you've gotten paid and you're in the biggest market there is, there has to be a time where you just zip it. You just plain zip it, and you realize there's guys out there like Larry Fitzgerald who haven't won anything, or Julio who haven't won anything, and some great other receivers out there that haven't won anything. So I've kind of flip-flopped a little bit. And I think, like you, I saw a tweet from you earlier today or yesterday, time to move on. Let's move in that direction. So, my biggest thing, John, was trying to explain to my 10-year-old why his favorite player wasn't wanted anymore by his favorite team. So that was a little bit of a navigation, but I think my head's in a good spot.
That's good. That's good. I wanted this to happen because if it didn't, the Giants would be losing for another 6 straight years. They would never get out from under this guy, ever. They were in such a deep hole. They didn't have enough picks. They didn't have enough cap room. They just could not rebuild this team without selling off the expensive parts. And they did a great job in getting rid of Vernon.
That was fabulous.
Okay, and I don't care about the dead money because right now they're looking at $100 million in cap space next year. So they're not going to win it this year, we know that. But next year, that's the year. But let me go back to Beckham. Last year, when he was signed to that big contract, I had a thought in my head when Gettleman first got here. He wants to trade him. And he's going to have to trade him, and this is not going to go well. But what happened is Steve Tisch is a Hollywood guy. He loves the buzz.
Yeah.
He loves that shit. Excuse my language. He loves it. Every time you turn on the internet or TV, you see him coming out of a restaurant with a young woman, and he's had a couple of drinks, and he's having a good time with it. He's living his best life. This guy.
Yes, he is.
Okay, so then you have Mara, who wants to go along with anything that's going to help the team. I don't think he has a very high football business acumen. I hate to say that because he's a very smart guy.
Okay, wait, you said he does have a high IQ or he doesn't?
He doesn't.
Got it.
Okay, and I don't think he does. He probably knows more than I do, but I'm not in the business. Well, technically. But he went along with this and signed Beckham, and Gettleman probably said to them, I don't think this is a good idea. I think we should trade him. Okay, and they were like, no, we're going to keep him. So they kept him. They played 12 games. What happened? He got hurt again. And we still don't know whether he could have played any of those last 4 games. It didn't make sense for him to do it. But, a lot of players would have said, no, I'm going back out there. I want to help the team. He didn't do it. Maybe he couldn't do it. Whatever. But that's the last straw. All the antics, all the unnecessary attention he brings to the team and to himself, whether he did it intentionally or not, it was still there. And you can't have a locker room when you have a 52-1 scenario. It doesn't work. You know that. And that's hard. That's very hard to manage. Shermer couldn't manage it. But halfway through the season, according to Jay Glazer, who confirmed everything that I had thought, because I know the way this team operates, Gettleman said, we could get a good deal for him now, if you want to get a good deal for him. Because they realize they're going nowhere, right? They were, how many games did they lose in a row?
I don't know, 7?
Yeah, so they knew it was over. So you got to, when your house is in foreclosure and your car got repossessed, and you got 3 Rolexes in the drawer, what do? You sell the Rolexes, right?
Yep.
So
as fast as possible.
Right. So, you got to survive. And the Giants weren't surviving with this guy. So Shermer steps up and says, I think I could salvage him. I think I can make this work. So they don't make that trade at the trade deadline. But after the season was over, they reevaluated and they said, you know what? We need more picks. We need more capital. We need more cap space. We have to really take a step forward. And if we keep Odell Beckham and Olivier Vernon, and maybe the conversation went as far as Eli Manning, I don't know. We'll still find that out. We have to start whittling things down. Okay? And Peter Schrager on Good Morning Football today, I posted his, on USA Today, I posted his little diatribe about how the Giants won this trade just by getting rid of this guy and freeing up the locker room where there could be more unity and nobody has to tiptoe around. Okay, and they got good value for him, I thought. They got a safety, Jabril Peppers, who I'm a Michigan fan. I don't know if anybody knows that. I have family in Michigan. I've been watching Michigan for 4 decades. And I know Peppers very well. Not personally, but I've seen a lot of his games. He's a fantastic athlete, a good young man. Let me tell you something. He could turn out to be a Pro Bowl safety.
Well, he better be.
Well, he doesn't have to be. He just has to be good.
Well, that's what I was saying. His first 2 years are pretty average.
Right. Well, he's playing in Cleveland. They had a zillion coaching changes and coaches going back and forth, and the losing doesn't help either. So now he'll come in. He'll have James Betcher in his ear. All right, things will change for him. I think the light will go on for him. And they got the draft picks that they needed. They need to have 4 picks in the first 2 days of the draft. You need that. If you don't have that, you're relying on day 3 picks to make your team. That's not a good strategy.
No, it doesn't work.
No, so here's what they did. Sell off Beckham. I don't care about the emotion. I don't care about they'll never find another guy like him. They've been playing football in this league, in this country, professional football, since 1925. I don't see his name on any championship trophy. Do you?
No,
He
I
didn't
don't.
invent the game,
But,
so everybody's expendable.
yeah,
You know what I'm saying? And there's a price for everyone, and they got it, and this is what they're going to do to save this team. Now they have 2 first-round draft picks. Now you don't really say who they're going to draft in the first round. I say, okay, what are we going to, which pick are we going to draft which guy with? Or are we going to trade back? Or are we going to trade up? What are we going to do? We can do it. We have a lot of options. We went from being handcuffed to being very flexible. And now you have your 3rd-round pick back.
Yeah, that's a big plus, getting that 3rd-round back.
A huge plus, because let me tell you what happens. The 3rd round is the first round where they tack on compensatory picks. So that round lasts like 12 hours. Believe me, I've been at the draft so many times. I fall asleep in the 3rd round. It's horrible. Because after the 32 picks, then they go for another 10, 12 picks.
Yeah. And you don't have that excitement of the players being there, walking out on stage.
And then by the time the 4th round comes, you thought you had a good spot in the 4th round. You may as well, go home, because a lot of good guys were taken in that 3rd round. So that's why you need a 3rd round pick. Always need that 3rd round pick. And that's why when they didn't have it, I was like, they got to find a way to get back in the 3rd round.
Well, it's a new year, so Gettleman had a great first draft out of the box, which is really good. Traditionally, the Giants haven't done anything with their 3rd-round pick, so while you're missing it from a philosophy
they had 2
standpoint,
3rd-round picks last year: Lorenzo Carter and B.J. Hill.
Well, that's where I was going. I was like,
normally
we blow the 3rd-round pick for years with Jerry Reese, and Gettleman pulls out the 2 best players we got in the draft.
That's right.
B.J. Hill and Zoe Carter.
So they're great value picks too. I mean, these guys are hopefully Pro Bowl level at some time. But get back to Beckham. Before
Beckham.
we move on. I wish him well. I've interviewed him several times. I really liked him. I thought he was a nice kid. But he doesn't have any malicious bone in his body. It's not about that. It's about him being too big of a star on a team that's underwater. You know what I'm saying? Even though he thinks he's doing the right thing, he's not doing the right thing. He's missed 16 out of 32 games. He's making a ton of money now. All the attention is being drawn to him, even when he's not playing. The talk is about him.
Yeah,
okay? That's a distraction. He doesn't want that distraction, but he can't help that distraction is there. It's unintentional. The Giants had to get rid of that. They had to start fresh. This was a perfect thing to do. I think they got good value. We're going to go through a draft simulation, and we're going to use that pick. And you're going to see the player that you get in that round and in the 3rd round. And you're going to tell, and plus Peppers. And then don't forget the money that they clear from him not being here next year. That's what, $20 million almost? That could be 4 players. This could be a Herschel Walker type of thing. You're going to realize 8 bodies out of this thing.
Well, all right, so I want to back up real quick on what you said a little earlier is, yes, his name's not on any trophies. Yes, he's missed some time. And again, I'm not defending. I'm just playing, for this conversation, playing both sides, right?
Mm-hmm.
The other side is that, we're paying for Jerry Reese's mistakes and Mark Ross's mistakes. So, when you get Eli getting, having an absolute atrocious offensive line, he's not, he's not able to run the offense the way it should be run. It's a bad offensive team for years. You can even go as far as to say the ankle that he broke was a high pass from Eli, right? I've heard that a handful of times, really super high pass. Odell goes up for it, gets his ankle rolled on and break it. So
that's really reaching. Come on.
Oh, no. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying I've heard different opinions on things that happened to Beckham. There's a couple ways to look at it. You can nitpick it, or you could say, like you just went, the route you went is the team's better off without him. I feel like that, they could have found a way, but it wasn't the Giants. The Giants didn't need to find a way. They were doing everything to keep him. Like you said, Shermer said, no, we'll fix this. And Gettleman was like, you don't give up on talent. Like the Giants
Dave Gettleman said that about, I don't think he said that about Beckham. I think he said that about Eli Apple, and then he realized that he probably shouldn't have said that. And then the first offer he got for Apple, he got rid of him too.
Yeah, I think it was a theme, right, on giving up on players and not signing, not signing them and getting rid of them. And I just maybe something could have changed, but Beckham had to want it to change. I mean, he's constantly, like you said, he's a star. He's constantly in the limelight. He doesn't handle it well. There's always something he has to say. Like, for instance, being with Lil Wayne didn't help him, right?
That was stupid.
Making comments about Eli or the play calling, not a good idea.
No.
Getting caught on video in the Paris hotel with the so-called powder and the pizza.
That wasn't a good look either. And the Giants kind of just glossed that over.
Yeah, so...
See, that's this thing here, and this is the thing. Mike Francesa said this the other day. I don't normally agree with a lot of his diatribes, but...
I was going to say,
he was absolutely right. They never disciplined this kid from day one. And that sets a double standard in your organization. And that will divide your team. Maybe guys say, oh, no, we love him. But you know what? When they walk in that locker room, they know they're second class.
Well, that goes back to Jerry Reese and Tom Coughlin. They
Coughlin started it. He's the one to blame. Yeah. He should have. And you know what? When OBJ went through that tirade on the field, you know whose team that was? He did that against
Gettleman.
Gettleman was probably, I don't know for sure, but he was probably at that game in the booth as the Panthers GM, and he saw that whole thing up close. And when he took over this team, he's like, I got to get rid of this guy.
Yeah, and again, there's a little bit that goes into, like someone was asking me on Twitter about, why does it always seem like the Giants can never re-sign their guys, or why do they, why don't they ever keep talent in the building? Well, I think that they were making a reference to stars don't stay, or guys like Hakeem Nicks go, or guys like Collins go, or whatever. The Giants aren't very proactive. Like they knew the Beckham issue was coming. They knew the Collins issue was coming. Like they've never been very proactive.
Well, the Steelers and the Patriots don't re-sign their guys mostly. Some guys they do. Same thing with the Giants. Some guys they re-sign. It all depends on the player.
Yeah, and I think in this specific situation, we're talking about a player who's bringing the negativity upon the situation. Like Shermer was quoted saying, "No, I want him," and Gettleman saying, "We didn't, like I said, we didn't sign him to trade him." Like I think they really had good intentions of keeping him, but
I think that was a ploy to drive up the price.
And maybe it was, I just wanted to at least make the statement that for everything he got, he's in New York. He's a superstar, international superstar, the clothes, the fashion, the girls, all that stuff. Like, if he could just keep his mouth closed and just play football, I mean, and again, having a 10-year-old son, it's fun to show him highlights and the one-handed catches and that stuff. Like, it is fun. Having a kid, watching that stuff, it's something you share together and it's fun. But in the bigger picture, it's just, when do you turn it down or off? When do you just get back to playing football? Why does it got to be so much drama attached to it?
And that's, you hit it right on the head. It's not about football with this guy. I mean, he's great when he's on the field, and we know that he goes out there and he gives it his all when he's out there. But the thing is that his star was so big, it was weighing the team down. Football was secondary. They couldn't get to the, when you come into work every day, you want to get certain things done. Pat Shermer comes into work every day. He can't get certain things done because he's got this albatross around his neck.
Yeah.
I mean, the albatross sometimes takes him on a ride, and, it's wonderful, but still, you can't manage your team when you have a presence like that. And he's not a bad kid. I'm sure he wanted to stay here. But I think he'll be better off in Cleveland. He's in a better situation for him. There's not as much media there. Well, there might be now, but there won't be. Okay, there won't be a lot of temptation and everything else there. And we'll see how that works out for him.
There's only so many footballs to go around.
And that's another thing.
They keep stacking that team. You know, he's not going to have 120 catches.
No.
There's just not enough balls to go around.
There's going to be some animosity between him and, well, not him, but maybe some of the other players. You watch. Now look at what happened here. The Giants brought in a player that's, believe it or not, actually better than he is. When you think about it.
That's debatable.
Very debatable. But I think in the end, you'll see he's a better team player. He's better for the team. And he's going to have great numbers in his career, too.
You talking about Tate?
I'm talking about Barkley.
Oh, I'm sorry. My bad.
And as a rookie, was actually showing a lot of leadership traits.
Oh, yeah, without a doubt. No, without a doubt. I thought we were still on the wide receiver train.
No, Tate, we'll get to him. We'll talk about it.
No, listen, yeah. Barkley, it'll be Barkley's team.
It is Barkley's team, and I think that was another thing that probably got under his skin, that they got Saquon, and all of a sudden Saquon was the talk of the team, because he was coming off an injury, and then he got hurt again. And, we're still talking about Saquon, and, he's like getting pushed down the totem pole a little bit.
You think that bothered him? See,
I think it had to bother him a little bit.
All right.
But, he was saying things way before that. But the Giants got smart, and now they realize we're going to hang our hat on this kid now. And Beckham is expendable, and we can trade him. First good offer we get, he goes. As long as it's not Washington, Dallas, or Philadelphia.
Yeah. And again, I also with you, I think, his heart's in the right place, but it doesn't always work out that way because his mouth gets in front of the way.
Yeah.
And,
hey, it was good while it was lasted. I was here. Fran Tarkenton came. They traded for the Vikings and got him. He was here for, I think, 4 years. He was great. The Giants were actually competitive with him. Guy ran for his life every game, but still, he helped the Giants win some games. I think they had 8-8 records, or 7-7 rather. And I think they had one actual winning season, if I can recall correctly, going back almost 50 years here. But then it got too much for him, and then too much for them. We've got to. This is the only guy we have. We have to figure out how to get better, and the only way to get better is to trade our best guy away.
Yeah.
And they did that. Allie Sherman did that before, in the early 60s, when he traded the Sam Huffs of the world away.
Yeah, that was not a popular move, right?
So, Sam Huff ended up playing another 6-7 years. So
I don't think you're going to, it'd be very hard to replace the production. I'm sure you're going to have some people
you're going to have a different approach to offense now.
Well, that was just saying, like, you're not going to replace the production, but you're going to get a different team.
Yes.
You're going to get a different style of play, maybe more like the 80s Giants,
Or maybe more like the Coughlin Giants.
Yeah, maybe.
With the Earth, Wind, and Fire.
See, I don't see that either, because that was like when they had, Ward and Bradshaw and Jacobs. You had three very well-balanced backs. They were each getting 15 carries, like kind of a thing.
You're right. They're not going to have anybody at Barkley's equal.
Yeah, but this is more to me like the 80s Giants, where this is Rodney Hampton. And they're going to pound Rodney Hampton. They're going to pound Barkley. And then you've got some ancillary wide receivers like Lionel Manuel or Ike Hilliard.
Ike might have been.
Actually, Ike was probably a little bit later. Bobby Johnson, yeah. So I think it's more like the 80s Giants, which, again, is okay. But let's keep in mind, and I don't want to get off topic, is the difference between and you can use the Coughlin Giants if you want. I mean, but regardless if it was the Coughlin Giants or the Parcells Giants, the one theme that's different is we don't have a defense, and they had all-world defenses.
Yeah, they did. And even with Perry Fuel as the defensive coordinator.
How dare you? How dare you
I
say
would
that
kill
name?
for Perry Fuel.
I
would kill for Jabril Wilson. How's that?
Yeah, players. Yeah, there's definitely. So, kind of like tie a bow on it for me is like I do still wish he was here, but only under the circumstances that he could be Larry Fitzgerald or Julio Jones, and I don't think that's possible. So
no, he's too much of a personality.
Yeah, and once I learned that, he was in panic mode, or he was in salvage mode, then I knew he definitely went too far. That he must have again said something somewhere he shouldn't have, and asking for a player meeting when 50%, 60% of the team's not here. He probably went too far. Now, the team is going to be different. They might not be as explosive. They're going to pound the ball.
Well, you don't know that yet.
Well, I'll say, the only reason I said they're going to be as explosive is because, if
they're not going to be as implosive, I don't think, either.
What's that?
They're not going to be as implosive either.
No. Yeah, you got. Also, hey, look. At the end of the day, let's call it what it is. Eli Manning doesn't gel with high stake, high, influential personalities. He didn't get along with Shockey because Shockey wanted the ball all the time, and then you got Odell with everything else. Like Eli's like. And listen, Glazier said it the best, and you wanted to go. You were mentioning Glazier.
Yes, Jay Glazier.
Glazier said it the best. He says Baker Mayfield won't take any crap from Odell or Landry. Like the word he used was gangster. He says Baker Mayfield's a gangster, and he runs very different than most people. He's a different kind of cat, and he's not afraid to put these guys in their place, and he's not afraid to tell them to settle down and get in line. Where Eli just isn't that guy. He let Shockey ran strong over top of him.
Well, that's because he was younger. As he got older, it became his team. Guys didn't even try to do that to him.
No, but I still don't think he tells Odell to shut up.
I don't think he uses that exact words, but
that's what he might have needed.
He might tell him, calm down or whatever.
But you know what I'm saying? Like, again, it's Eli's personality. Like, if he was a little bit more heavy-handed or strong, maybe Beckham goes, oh,
that's
you know
not
what?
His personality. He's never been like that, and even to this day, right now he thinks before he says anything, before he speaks. He jokes around once in a while, but he doesn't say anything outside the lines. He's a total professional. I don't like the way the Twitterverse is treating him right now. I think it's very unfair.
I agree with that.
Okay, he's on the downside of his career. All right, don't blame him. Blame the Giants. The Giants have to do something with him. Now, if they bring him back, it's fine as long as he's behind an offensive line that can protect him. And they run an offense that he can function in because they don't have a lot of options with him, and we'll talk about that in a second. Let me just say one more thing about Odell. And I just did. When you get referred to by one name, your first name, that means you're too big of a star for a team game. Am I right?
I'd agree with that.
I mean, LeBron.
Well, again,
look at LeBron right now. Is LeBron winning?
No. Well, that was his own fault to go to LA.
There you go. But, so, when you get referred to by one name, and basketball is a completely different. That's a star-driven sport. Football is a team-driven sport. When you're in this league, you can't be referred to by one name.
There's one asterisk to that, though. You can't be referred to one name when you're in New York because
That's true.
You could be in Pittsburgh and be Ben or Big Ben.
That's because his last name is too hard to spell and say. That's why.
Okay, fair enough. But you know what I'm saying. Like if you're the guy in New York and you're big enough to have a one-word name, like you're right, you're bigger than the team. But if you're in Pittsburgh or if you're in, Atlanta even, with Julio, like it's just different. New York is just a different market.
Yeah.
You got to learn how to handle it.
And it's over now. So let's move on. I want to give you 5 minutes, maybe less, on the departure of Olivier Vernon. Go ahead.
I don't need 5 minutes.
How about 30 seconds?
Yeah, exactly. It was time. He was not a producer, overpaid, underperformer, and somehow Gettleman looks like a genius because they bring in the 6th-rated tackle in the NFL, and this kid is young, big, strong, and angry. It might have been the best off-season move I've seen in quite some time. Because Vernon's just not a great player. He got paid in a marketplace that was starving for players, and Reese needed to save his job and overpaid him. He never delivered on anything. Averaged 3 tackles a game. Him and his 7 sacks, and 2.5 of them were the last game of the year against the backup Dallas tackle. Just Correct. It was a fabulous move. I think from one, you're not strangleholding the defense any longer. Now you got flexibility on who you could put in there. So Carter will get more snaps. Lightened up the load when it comes to salary cap wise and the money. And you're not, you're in a different place. Again, you've moved on from a contract you never thought you would be able to. So, cheers and kudos and golf
there's
clap.
Dead money left behind, but it's worth it.
Yeah, without a doubt. Yeah, great move. We don't even need to get too deep into it. It's the best free agent move the Giants have made in a long time.
Yeah, and they put the 2 trades together, the Beckham and Vernon trades together, and then initially they had swap draft picks, a 4th rounder for a 5th rounder with that Vernon trade.
Yeah, 133 for 156, I think.
Something like that, 155, right? So when they did the Beckham trade, they backed that draft pick swap out. So the Giants, instead of having 1 4th rounder and 4 5th rounders, they're back to 2 and 3. So that's what's good about that. And that's a big difference. Like I said, you get to those rounds where you have the compensatory picks, forget it.
No, it's fabulous. Yeah. I was completely, again, I thought, Jamon Brown was a really nice addition. I'm assuming he can't play tackle. That's why they didn't keep him. He went off and signed in Atlanta.
I think that they realized that anybody leaving for free agency, they probably wouldn't be able to bid up for. They're waiting for the market to come back to them, and that's why they're entertaining this guy, Mike Remmers, who played tackle in Minnesota and guard for Shermer when he was there. He just got released by the Vikings.
Okay.
He's been with like 6 teams, so, you get what you pay for.
Exactly.
I believe they will draft, and we're going to get to that when we do our little draft simulation in a few minutes. I believe they will draft an offensive tackle in the first 3 rounds.
I would say that I'd say that was accurate.
Yeah, and you'll see who's available. This draft is pretty deep, and they have 12 picks. Don't think they'll use them all. I think they'll try to package some and move up in some rounds to try to get some better players. But there's a lot of defensive players in this draft.
A lot of defensive players,
and some of them are incredible. And you could get them in the 5th round, 6th round. I've been doing draft simulations and looking at the draft pool, and I'm like, wow, you got this guy in the 6th round? That's great.
Well, just think, if you really wanted to make a major impact, can you imagine getting, with the 6th pick, a guy like Sweat or a guy like White, and then turning around with the 17th pick and getting a pick like a guy like Oliver or and I might pronounce his name, or is it Farrell?
Clellan Farrell, yeah.
Yeah, or Gary. Can you imagine having 2 dominant defensive players in the 1st round?
Well, that's what they're probably going to do, but there's a couple of things that I think are happening right now. They are looking to make a trade.
Another one?
I believe they're going to take a look at the Rosen situation to see if it's right.
Are you going to bring up Shepard in this thing?
Yeah.
Don't say it, because
I'm going to tell you it's his last year with the Giants, so they better do something.
They're not going to be able to
sign. They're not that they won't be able to sign him. I don't think they will sign him. I think he's going to be a double-digit guy next year. In 2020, and they're not going to want to pay that.
Yeah, I sent a tweet out last night that the signing of Tate might be. I don't know if you saw it. I think you saw it.
Yeah.
I sent is the Tate signing the writing on the wall for Shepard? And again,
and I like the kid. He's a good kid. He's a great receiver, but his 2 marks against him. He's going to cost too much, and he's a Reese guy.
Okay, I hear
both
those.
That means a lot. Let me tell you something.
I know
think
it
that
does.
doesn't mean anything.
I know it does, but I am going to be I'm not even wishy-washy on this one. if Gettleman keeps dismantling the team the way he's doing it on the pace he's doing it, it won't matter. Like, there has to be consistency. There has to be some vets that you can rely on, and you have to have some continuity.
Well,
and
I'm not saying that they won't bring Shepard back, but I just have this feeling that if they trade or make another trade, he's the guy that's going to go. He's in the last year of his contract, and he's a second-round pick. There's no fifth-round option, so well.
Like I said, I see the writing on the wall too. That's why I tweeted it out last night. They just basically signed Tate, who's basically the same position as Shepard. Yep. I don't think they're the same players because listen, let's be honest. Tate's been on 4 teams in his very short career, and he didn't sign with a winner. He went from like the Eagles potentially being a Super Bowl winner to the Giants, who are not even close. So he just came to get paid. Right. So he's all about the money. Shepard is a homegrown kid who is fantastic at downfield blocking.
I know, he's a good player.
It would be, again, I try not to be emotional about it, but it's really a bad move. Like, I don't even care. It's a bad move. Trade Evan Ingram if you want. Like, there are parts of this team.
Well, let's see how it goes. That's a feeling. Nobody said that.
No. I got you.
That's a feeling I have that he's looking. He's not looking at 2019. He's really looking at 2020.
By the way,
so Marcus Golden being signed to a 1-year contract, I don't know what that's all about, but
yeah. But I hear you, and I got to tell you, it is, as a fan and a season ticket holder, it's the most disgusting thing I can think of. Like, you could, because we're not talking about business, right? The Giants guys are here for the fans, and we're talking about fans, right?
Yeah.
It's really an absolute horrible way to approach a team by overlooking 2019. So the Giants will still collect their season ticket money.
You got to be realistic about your chances.
I got it. But you can't be realistic by continuing to then why don't they just let the season ticket holders go for free?
Well, that's a good idea.
Because here's the thing: you're still charging. You're still exactly. But that's my point: is there's not even a happy medium. If you continue to flip this team, collect your season ticket holders, your $15 beers, and your $25 to park, you're ripping off the fans, putting a crap product on the field because last year they turned the roster over by 70%, and look what they got.
So you're becoming the Knicks. That's what you're.
You nailed it. You cannot continue to turn a team over and just think it's going to work. And I know. This is a ridiculous analogy, but and I don't mean to bore people out there, but from firsthand experience, my daughter plays some pretty high level field hockey, and she's stayed with one club team for 4 years. Okay, and it's benefited her to the point of, as a freshman, being a nationally recognized player, top 100 player in his players, because she's been with the same consistency in the team. And college coaches are already looking for her because they know where to find her. And they like the consistency of it. The other players that didn't feel like waiting around to start are bopping around team after team after team. And it goes to show what your mentality is. It's, I can't get what I want, so I'll go somewhere else. It's the same thing with football. I can't get what I want, I'll go somewhere else to get it. And listen, I'm not killing Grandpa Gettleman, but if you continue to do that, I can't get what I want, so I'm going to go somewhere else and get it. I swear to you, they will not win with that philosophy. You need a couple anchors on this team,
that's what I was about to say. They're still trying to figure that out. But it also, if he could trade Shepard for Rosen, why wouldn't he do it?
Because in 2020 he's going to have Fromm and he's going to have Herbert.
Well, you don't know that. So what if he does? Rosen only costs $2 million towards the cap.
Yeah, I know. He's cheap, but then why give up your best receiver? Tate, I mean, who knows if Tate's going to be here? And I don't think Tate's anything special.
Well, he's a good player.
Good player, but then why has he been on 4 teams in 7 years?
Because, teams, his contract's up. He's the kind of guy that just going to cost too much, and you get rid of him. You don't re-sign him.
So, I mean, I don't see it, man. it's discouraging to continue to flip these players. Like,
it's the nature of the game. Everybody does it.
They do, but
it's the nature of the business.
I don't see it is, but at certain positions, like you don't see Edelman being traded. You know, you don't see. Well,
yeah. I mean, you don't see Eli Manning being traded either.
No, I'm talking about the fabric of the team, not the guy.
There are guys that are basically untouchable, but let me tell you something. As soon as Edelman can't play or he starts to slip, he's gone.
No, I got it, but that's because he's been.
They know how to cut bait in New England, man.
No, they do. I'm just saying, Shepard's a young guy. You'll probably get a hometown discount. You could probably get him for $8 million a year. I mean, I don't know. I'm just making a point that don't expect to win by continuing to jet set out your players, because when you rotate a roster over and over, and I think that's Gettleman's flaw. I think Grandpa just thinks that he can say, I'm going to put anybody in here and you'll win, and you can't.
No, he's right. You're right, because they got Antoine Bethea for a 2-year deal. The guy's 34 years old. He's still a good player. But
for how long?
Yeah. I mean, why did you sign him? I know he has a relationship with Betcher. They played 1 year in Arizona, and they think he's a good fit here. And him and Peppers, they got your safeties now for this year anyway. But he's going to be looking to draft at all of these positions and build up these positions. And we'll get to that in a few minutes. Did we talk about Collins in the last show, or I can't remember?
Yeah, we cranked up Collins pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, so he's gone.
He's going to play in Washington, and
they are out of their minds with that contract.
The contract is unworldly. I agree that if that's what it was going to take to keep him, it would have never happened.
Well, that's what it would have taken to keep him. And here's the issue I have with this. The guy's still rehabbing. He can't lift weights. He can't go on the field. He can't do anything for you. And you're going to have to make him take a physical before camp. And what if he's not the same? You blindly threw that money, into the wind. That's the thing I don't get with free agency. Everybody's crazy. They're losing their minds.
So let me play devil's advocate for a second. Yeah. I think you're going to like this. You ready?
Yeah.
5 minutes ago, you said Grandpa Gettleman was doing what? He's looking where?
What did I say 5 minutes ago? Tell me. Talking about grandpas. I can't remember anything.
You said that Gettleman was looking at 2020.
Right.
So if
I think he is. And he's also looking at 2019. He's just getting filling holes right now temporarily until he can get the long-term guys.
I'm only throwing this in as a caveat to your Collins thing. If he was looking at 2020, he would have figured out the Collins thing, that he was hurt and that 2019 isn't what he was looking for. If he was thinking about 2020, I'm just saying, if that was it, because he got rid of Collins because he can't play in 2019 potentially, right?
Right.
But then the oxymoron is, he's really not worried about 2019. He's worried about 2020. So you can't have it both ways. If he wants to look at 2020, you figure out a way to make an incentive-based contract for Collins this year where he heals up, and then 2020 comes back like a rock star with what's his name back there playing free safety.
Right. But the thing is, he's not the type of safety that they want for this defense.
Agreed.
And he would have cost too much money. They don't value their safeties at $11 million a year. They won't even pay half that to a safety. He has a price tag in his head. What positions get what money? He's got a pecking order. He's not going to pay a safety $11 million. And I don't think a safety is worth that, to be honest with you, especially a guy who plays in the box like he does and isn't really asked to cover tight ends or receivers. And when he is asked, it's a crapshoot.
No, I'm with you. Listen, I'm okay with Collins going. He was going to cost too much money. You lose, two of your best players. I'm just, again, you can't keep flipping guys. At some point, you got to stop the bleeding.
Yeah, you got to have a couple of stationary players. That's why they kept Jenkins.
Which is odd.
Yeah, I don't know why but they need a cornerback, and he's good. He actually played his way out of here in the first half of the season, and then when he saw guys were being traded, he played his way back into their good graces.
And he zipped his mouth.
Yeah. So he was like, I better stay. If I want to stay, I better start playing. And, I don't think they turn it on and off like that, but he obviously picked up his game in the last half of the season. But, the defense was so bad by that time. It didn't really matter how well he played. All right, we got a few minutes left, so why don't we go to this website called fanspeak.com where they have a draft simulator, and we'll do the first 4 rounds. How's that of the Giants' upcoming draft?
Okay.
And I'm going to read to you the picks they have. We're going to go to the first round right now. The simulator is running. The Giants we're on the clock. The Giants have the 6th pick. And let me give you the top 4 players to choose from according to this big board.
Okay.
Number 1, Ed Oliver, defensive lineman, Houston. Montez Sweat, edge rusher, Mississippi State. Wide receiver DK Metcalf, Ole Miss. Well, linebacker Devin White, LSU. That's a tough pick right there.
All right, so am I picking?
I'm going to let you pick.
I'm picking D. White.
So you're going to pass up Oliver, Sweat, and Metcalf and take White.
I'm definitely passing on DK. I've got no desire.
Okay.
And I would like Sweat. Oliver maybe later on in the draft, not at 6. But at 6, I'm going White first, Sweat second. So White's my first pick. Sideline to sideline guy. We haven't drafted a linebacker probably since Carl Banks.
Okay.
That high. I'm taking White.
Now we have the 17th pick. We're still on the clock. And this is what we were saying before. You're going to end up with a lot of good guys here. This is why this trade was so integral. Now I'm going to tell you the top 4 guys on the board, and you're not going to believe it. Sweat is still on the board. Metcalf is still on the board. Deontay Thompson, a safety out of Alabama, is on the board. And Ja'Kai Polite, the edge rusher from Florida, is now on the board. That's tough.
Nope. No brainer. It's Sweat.
There you go. Wow.
I'm not drafting a wide receiver any longer that high. And not after I gave Tate that money.
When you can put in Ellison or take another tight end in this draft and make Ingram a split or a slot receiver.
100%. And I can't even fathom taking a safety in the first round.
Not in this draft because they're not even rated that high.
Exactly. Well, again, and I just signed a 35-year-old safety, and I just traded for a safety. So, defensive edge, give me Sweat, hands down.
Okay, here we go. Second round. Okay, second round pick. Here's who's on the board. Running back, but I'll leave the running backs off because we're not taking a running back.
No.
Cornerback, Amani Uruwari of Penn State. I'm not really familiar with him. Edge rusher from Old Dominion, Oshani Zeminis.
I like him.
Center, North Carolina State, Garrett Bradbury. Safety, Juan Thornhill of Virginia. Defensive tackle, Dexter Lawrence, Clemson.
Oof.
That's rated according. This is the way this guy's rating them.
Yep.
The board may not be like that.
I like the DN from OD, but we just drafted 2 defensive guys, the first 2.
Yeah.
You're telling me
the only offensive player in this grouping is Garrett Bradbury, the center. And you're just signed 2 centers.
Yep, and I'm saying, so we're just trying to sign 2 centers. I might have to go with the corner from Penn State.
Uruwari?
Only because, if you're looking at it, I could use a tackle, but there's not one there. I don't know if I go, and again, I like the kid from OD. You know what I mean? He's he's a player.
Yeah.
If I take White and Sweat, I don't know if I want him too. I want a tackle right there in that spot.
But we could have gone all the way down and taken one and passed up a lot of these guys. You need a corner. You only have two.
So I'm going to Wari from Penn State.
Okay, we're going to round 3. The pick that we got from the Cleveland Browns that we didn't have, which I say you're going to be surprised at some of the guys you can get here with this pick. And it's a little further down in the round. It's not at the top of the round. So let's see. Oh man, we are not on the clock yet. Come on. So what are you thinking? You thinking you can get an offensive tackle here?
I need a tackle here.
There's not one in sight. But there's a linebacker, Jermaine Pratt, North Carolina State. Linebacker from Wisconsin, T.J. Edwards. Linebacker from Duke, Joe Giles Harris. Linebacker from Notre Dame, Tavon Coney. Safety, Jaquan Jackson, Miami.
Oh, no, without a doubt, taking the safety from Miami.
That's good. Now you're filling out your secondary.
Because I've seen that kid play. I like him.
All right, so now we're going to the 4th round. We're going to have 2 picks, and that'll be where we stop because then it gets takes a long time for this thing to fill up once you start getting into those later rounds. We're on the clock. Okay, here we go. Offensive tackle Bobby Evans, Oklahoma. Joe Giles Harris, Tavon Coney still on the board. A guard from Ohio State, Michael Jordan. Wide receiver Jacoby Myers, North Carolina State. David Sills, wide receiver, West Virginia. Also on the board, Tyree Jackson, quarterback Buffalo. Wow.
I might have to phone a friend for this
You
one.
might. It's a tough call. There's a couple of good linebackers here. I don't know which one's the best. No one probably does. There's 2 wide receivers in Myers and Sills. They're both pretty good. There's a running back from Oklahoma State, Justice Hill. I don't think they want to take one of them.
Where's Jordan from? Carolina?
Jordan is from Ohio State.
Inside or outside?
He's a guard.
Oh, sorry. And then Evans was the tackle.
Bobby Evans is a guard tackle from Oklahoma. Good player. I don't know why he's all the way down here.
So he had the block for Kyler Murray.
Yeah, and Baker Mayfield.
Baker Mayfield. All right, I'm gonna go Evans.
It's a good pick. All right, we got one more pick. And it's going to be some of the same guys popping up because, we're going through this whole thing. I would have taken, White, of course, but, and then Sweat was on the board at 17, which is an amazing, I can't see him dropping that much, especially after that combine.
Yep.
All right, so the next pick is a no-brainer in my opinion. There's Devin Singletary, running back, Florida Atlantic, no. Linebacker Khalil Hodge, Buffalo, no. Evander Holyfield's son, the running back from Georgia, no. Anthony Nelson, defensive tackle, Iowa, no. Safety Jonathan Abram, Mississippi State. Now that's interesting.
We already took the guy, what's his name, from Miami.
Right. Linebacker Cameron Smith, USC.
Oh.
Tight end Jace Sternberger, Texas A&M.
So, okay, here's the thing. I really like Cameron Smith from USC.
So do I.
My only issue is I did not think he had a good combine.
No, he didn't. No.
I thought he looked disinterested at the combine. I didn't find that he ran through, all the drills. He kind of, did the cones and then, kind of jogged out.
And that's why he's all the way down here in the 4th round.
Yeah, I didn't really think he had a good combine. I think he ran slow. So, I don't know what his deal is. I don't know if he has a pro day coming. I don't know.
They probably do, yeah.
Okay, because he did not have a good combine. He looked very disinterested. But, I mean, he's a tackling machine. I mean, again, I know this is going to be a little bit of a stretch, but he reminds me of Chase Blackburn to the T.
It is a bit of a stretch, but I know who he is, and I've seen him play, and I like him. I would have taken him. I actually think he's a steal here in the 4th round.
Yep. Again, I hope he has a better pro day because I watched him at the combine. I was like, what is wrong with him? Like, he just wasn't running through drills. His 40 was slow. His shuffle was kind of slow. I don't know, but I do know, like, game time, he's a game player. Like,
you want to take him?
I'm taking him.
All right, so we're done.
So I got White Sweat, Awari,
Jaquan Johnson.
Johnson from Miami, Evans, the tackle.
Yep.
And Smith from USC.
Yep.
I just crushed that.
You crushed it. And now you got 3 picks in the 5th round.
I'm really happy with myself right now.
See like Ozzie Newsome always said it. Jerry Reese used to tell the story. There's always enough players. Don't worry about it. There's players out there. They're there. You know. Because if you look around the league, you know, guys that were drafted, guys that were undrafted, it's 50-50. Where'd these guys come from? Well, how many players are in the league, and how many were actually drafted and drafted high?
Well, they say
that's the minority.
They say the first-round draft pick has a 50% chance of making it.
Yep.
And as you get into the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th round, that percentage decreases dramatically. So,
and your undrafted free agents, you know, we always tell the story of the guys who just, you know, get picked up after the draft. You know, Victor Cruz walked on.
Yeah, that's another anomaly, and that was only because he had some bumpy roads at UMass with staying in school and stuff. You know, because that's just an absolute anomaly. You do not find that very often.
Sean O'Hara, you know, he always tells the story. You know, he told it to me. He said, I went to Rutgers because I did some work when it was Rutgers Alumni Association, a Rutgers scholarship that he set up. Excuse me, not alumni. And he said, you know, I walked on at Rutgers. I didn't have a scholarship. He said, I wish I had a scholarship. That's why I set this up. And he walked on at Rutgers, became a starter, a center, a guard, whatever he was playing. Played both, I believe. And then he got signed by the Cleveland Browns as an undrafted free agent. And then from there, played a couple of years, and then he became a free agent. The Giants picked him up, and that's when he became a Pro Bowl player.
Oh, he's the 2nd best center in Giants history.
Yeah. Who's the best?
Oh, Bart Oates by far.
Oh, you like Bart Oates?
Yeah, man, he was a tough cat.
Yeah, the Giants had a guy in the 60s and 70s, Greg Lawson, who was a Pro Bowl player too. He was pretty good. But, you know, nobody remembers those teams because nobody saw those teams because they never televised the games because they were always blacked out. They couldn't get enough people in the stadium. They played in Yankee Stadium, 80,000 people. You needed to sell 75% of those seats. And when you're 2-12, you're lucky if you got 30,000 people there.
I remember my dad went back in the Yankee Stadium days.
Yeah, so we never saw the Giants back then. The only time we saw them was when they moved to the Meadowlands and they had automatic sellouts. They sold every ticket, so they were never blacked out at the Meadowlands. But, you know, when they were at Shea Stadium, Yale Bowl, Yankee Stadium, forget it. You never saw those home games. You only saw the road games, which was a shame. You know, it was a shame for them. I could have missed the road games, too. They were so bad in some of those years. We were lucky they blacked them out.
Well, yeah, it didn't start getting good to 81 when you brought in Taylor, and then took them a couple of years to get going, too.
I think that's what we're going to be looking at here. It's going to take a little time. It's a little different, naturally. It's a lot different. The business is a lot different. You can really go from worst to first. I don't see that happening this year. But, you know, you could turn things around fast. And you just saw with this draft, That's just half the draft. That's just the first 6 picks. We got 6 more after that. If they use them all, the kind of players you can get, you can bring in here.
I just drafted 1, 2, 3, 4. I just drafted 5 defensive players that might be plug and play.
Yes, yeah, I agree. Well, White's plug and play. Sweat's plug and play. The corner, he's plug and play. Can't pronounce his name. See, that's the thing. You get some of these guys, you can't pronounce their name. They kind of like fan over them, and nobody picks them. Osi Umenyiora. Who's this guy? I can't pronounce his name, so I'm not drafting him.
Yeah, you're like, I don't know.
Yeah, really. And the Giants are like, we'll take him. Thank you. I'm just going to call him Osi.
Exactly. Yeah. No, I worry is if I'm pronouncing it right. Yeah, he would definitely be plug and play, and then a guy like Smith and Johnson and Evans would all be fighting for a spot. But geez, if I plug and play 4 defensive players, I'm feeling good.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Because you got to stop.
It's a win already.
I got in a debate with a guy on Twitter about. I said, listen, if the defense had just done its job, they could have won 3 or 4 extra games. And he said, well, the Eagles game, you can't help a guy kicking a 63-yard field goal. And I said, hold on a second. The Giants were winning at the end of the first quarter 9-0.
Right. They
were winning the end of the second quarter. They were winning 19-11. I'm like, they were winning the third quarter, 19-14. I'm like, they were winning the whole game. They gave up, 25 points, but 11 of them they gave up in the fourth quarter. You just need to make a stop.
They just need to make the stop. They need to get pressure on the quarterback, and they just can't do it.
Can't win if you don't play both sides of the ball.
And we know the second half of the season was all about the defense. Well, they traded,
Apple.
And they traded Snacks. That was a big loss. Remember what I said. I didn't think Tomlinson was up to the task to play nose tackle.
You nailed that one a long time ago.
And, they were having problems stopping the run when Snacks was there. When you let Adrian Peterson, who can't run anymore, get 164 yards on you, that's a problem.
Well, they also made, was an average back, and then all of a sudden they made him an old world back. What's his name? Henry from Tennessee.
Well, he is tough to bring down. Like I said, remember we did the show. It was wet out. He was slippery, and he's big.
I mean, they made him look like O.J. Simpson.
Yeah, but he had good games before and after that too.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. I'm just saying it was like a breakout game.
But the Giants were a perfect foil for him. They can't tackle, and he wouldn't be tackled. And the weather was so bad. You were probably at that game.
Yeah, you don't have to remind me.
I know. Rained all day. It didn't really rain hard. It just was wet, misty, and it's just the worst kind of weather.
When did it not rain? I think there were 4 of 8 home games it rained this year.
Yeah.
Dallas it rained. Tennessee it rained. I mean, it was raining all the time. You just wanted them to win so bad because you were like, all right, I committed to sit out here in the nasty rain. Please win this game.
Yeah, and they beat Chicago. They beat some playoff teams. They came close against the Colts.
They won that.
Dallas.
They won that Chicago game because of one reason that evidently people don't respect the Giants enough to watch the tape, because it's all they did. The Giants did all game long was they ran directly at Khalil Mack, and backup tight end Scott Simonson was pancaking him. So
who they re-signed, and I like that. Remember we made fun of the guy, but I'll tell you, he's not a bad player.
He's not a bad player.
If he's your third tight end, you're doing okay.
Well, that's where I think again you get kudos for. You called this a long time ago. You technically could move Shepard on the outside, Tate on the inside, and have Ingram line up as a third wide receiver because you got Simonson. I don't know how great his hands are, but you got Simonson to block, and I think
Ellison showed some hands last year.
Well, that's the thing. He's got to be the most underrated tight end in the league. I'm not saying he's going to get 1,000 yards, but I guarantee if you threw the ball at that cat a couple times, I'm sure he's good for 600-700 yards.
I think you're right.
Really good.
But he was a blocker.
He's a blocker. Yeah.
When he was in Minnesota, they needed him to block. They had Kyle Rudolph.
Yep.
So he didn't get his number called too often. And now the Giants are finding out that, hey, this guy can catch. Just like they did with Jake Ballard.
Remember that? That was crazy
Who
talk.
knew?
Here's the thing. It's funny you brought him up. I clearly remember, them signing Ballard and me looking him up at Ohio State, right?
Yeah.
The guy caught I don't know, 24 balls or something crazy in 4 years. He never caught the ball.
So
and then
no
all
one
of a
knew,
sudden
yeah.
he had really soft hands.
And he was the biggest guy.
Oh, yeah. He made one of the greatest catches I can remember. I went to New England to watch the Giants-New England game in New England, and they won the game on this crazy great
that
catch.
diving catch he made in the
Yeah,
end zone.
I was like, and this guy's 270,
He was
260,
big, man.
260. I'm like, how does no one know this guy can catch?
And then he blew out his knee in the Super Bowl.
Oh, that was a shame.
And your man Travis Beckham blew out his knee in the Super Bowl.
That guy was terrible.
That Super Bowl. I mean, that was the second Super Bowl against the Patriots.
Yeah.
And then they had no tight ends, if you remember, in that game.
Nope.
I forget who they were using in the end. It was
Bear Pascal.
Bear Pascal. They still had him. Yeah, I'm sorry.
He was a great blocker too.
Yeah, what a nice guy too. I talked to him several times. What a nice guy. His family owns a ranch out west, and he actually was he was a cowboy. He worked the ranch when he was a kid. He's real cool, really nice guy.
The Giants always had great role players like that, like Dave Tollefson and
There's another nice
Bear
guy.
Bear Pascal. They always had great role players. They don't have a whole lot of that right now.
No, and that's what they want to get back to. That's what it is. It takes 53.
Well, I think your term was, if I remember correctly, lunch pail guys.
Yeah. Bill Parcells used to call the offensive line the suburbanites.
Yep.
Because they used to pull up in the mom soccer vans, with the car seats.
Yeah. And not anymore. Now they get paid too much, man. Now they just drive those big oversized trucks.
Back then they had they had Bart Oates, but they had Brad Benson.
Yeah, Carl Nelson,
Billy Ard, Cratch, right?
Oh yeah, that's right.
They had him, and then after that they had Jumbo. Jumbo's a Long Island guy.
Riesenberg,
Rosenthal,
William Roberts.
William Roberts. William Roberts, was a great lineman. But if you told me he was a professional football player in street clothes, I'd say, get out of here.
Yeah, exactly.
No way. But you want to try to move that guy? Good luck.
Yeah, he was just a big mountain. Yeah. Well, I think we covered some good ground today.
Yep.
And just for the Giants guys, for anybody who goes to the site, we're doing some maintenance up there. So if you don't see NY Giants rush up, don't panic. We got some IT on the case and working some back end stuff. We'll be up and running shortly. You can always get me on NY Giants Rush on Twitter.
Yep.
I'm definitely trying to I think I told myself after this morning though. I think a lot of you fans are out there. You're still your emotions are running high, and you want to kill Eli and all that stuff. And let's turn this thing around. Let's try to get some positive vibes going here.
Yeah, I agree. And I'm at John_Fennelly. I had 60,000 Twitter impressions in the last 24 hours.
Nice.
So I don't know what I'm doing.
You're hanging out with me.
Well, I'm publishing on Giants Wire at USA Today, and we did a couple of really nice articles. The biggest article we did, of course, was the OBJ didn't want to leave New York, the Kim Jones thing.
Yeah, that was really cool, man.
The other one was Eli Manning. If he doesn't take a pay cut, will become the richest player in NFL history. $252 million all told in his 16 years. And his brother is second.
Guy's got a good agent, man.
Tom Condon was his agent. I'm going to give him a plug. But Tom Condon should really say, you know what, Eli, if you can just take a pay cut, or if the Giants want to offer you an extra year, you want to split your salary out, still get your money, do it. Do it to help the team. And I think he would, but I don't know if they even approached him. I don't know. We'll see. If he doesn't, right now it's the 15th. It's the Ides of March, right? By the 17th, if the Giants don't do anything before then, he collects a $5 million roster bonus and a $500,000, I think, workout bonus or restructured bonus. Can't remember what it is, but he collects $5.5 million, and then his salary is $11.5. So that's $17 million right there. The only thing they can work with once those bonuses kick in is his base salary. Now, what they can do if they add a year to his contract, which that would send Twitter into a tizzy, right?
Of course.
Is convert that into a bonus, but you have to add a year. It's just you just can't pay the guy out. There's constructive ways of doing it, creative ways of doing it rather. But that's the only way I could see it do it. Or they cut him altogether and re-sign him for less.
Man, if the Giants were super smart, they'd trade for Rosen and then draft Herbert or Rosen next year and have or Fromm and have the best of both worlds.
And Tua Tagliavola.
Yeah, I'm not into the short lefty.
No. How about the short righty and Kyler Murray? I told you he could throw. He's a baseball outfielder. Did you see him throw the other day?
Yeah, he can throw. No one said he couldn't throw.
Yeah, but people say, "Oh, he can't throw." I said, "Get out of here! You're crazy."
Those people don't know what they're talking about. It's always going to come back to the fact that he had to put on 20 pounds to go to the combine.
Yep.
And
you think that's why he didn't run the 40?
Oh, gotta be. It's gotta be. His playing weight is 190, and he's 5'10".
Yeah.
Right? And those type of players don't last long in the big man's league. And anyone who says, it's about mobile quarterbacks, well, listen, Flacco and Ben and Eli and Peyton and Breeze and Brady and Wilson are all pocket passers. Mm-hmm. You got to be mobile. Don't get me wrong. I get mobile. But, the guys like Lamar Jackson, guys like Michael Vick, guys that are run first, they get abused. And I don't know if at 5'10", 190 – I don't know how long you can stay in the league. And if you sign the guy at the 6th pick, 1st pick, whatever it is, and that guy's done in 3 years, really sets your franchise back. No one said he wasn't talented. I think everybody's getting crazy about who's talented, who's not talented. The kid's talented. In fact, he's a 2 sports star. Of course he's talented. Just don't know if he has the body frame. Can he do what Baker Mayfield did? I don't know. Right. That's why Breeze and Russell were the only 2.
All right, last thing. I know. Because we're already over an hour.
Yeah, that's my bad.
We're really boring the pants off these people. I
know. That's the Giants guys. That's what we do.
If the Cardinals said, give us a 1st rounder and a 2nd rounder for Murray and Shepard, what would you do?
Give it to me again. The Cardinals say what?
Number 6. We'll give them the 6th pick, our 2nd round pick, and Shepard for the number 1 overall pick. That would completely blow the Jets right off the back page if the Giants did that.
I say no.
Too much?
Too much, and again, you're gambling with the 6th pick that he makes it.
But you still have the 17th pick.
What? And they're not going to draft another quarterback.
No, I mean,
my fear is always that we go back to the Stone Ages, the Danny Cannell, Graham.
No.
Graham. I just want a guy that can play quarterback. Like if it's I don't want Haskins either.
What about Daniel Jones?
No, he doesn't have it.
No. Somebody's going to draft him, and high, too.
Of course they are.
Not us.
I know Rosen can play. And if I could get Rosen, fine, but I'm not giving them
No,
all of that.
Rosen would be a 3rd round pick. Otherwise, it's no deal.
I mean, Rosen right now, if he was coming out this year, he'd be the 2nd rated QB.
Yeah,
and people are only falling in love with Murray. And I don't know, I would like to get Rosen, no doubt about it, but I just don't want to gamble with that pick. Like, I don't know.
If the Giants don't get him, somebody else will. And it won't be anybody in the East. It'll probably be New England might do it. You know, they have 3 third-round picks and 2 second-round picks. It seems kind of unfair, right?
What, and Rosen sits behind Brady?
Yeah, they sit behind him. You know, Brady, I think one of these days, Brady is just going to wake up and say, you know what, I'm going to retire today. He's not going to say, this is my last year and go through all of that, you know, farewell tour. It's just he's going to wake up one day and say, that's it, I'm done.
I can see that, but, you know, he's the most competitive dude on the planet, so he's going to play as long as he can.
That's not going to be for a while, I know, but still.
Yeah.
You know, he's in tremendous shape, probably in better shape now than he was when he got drafted. You know, if you ever see his 40 run, he's running in like gym shorts and a T-shirt that's too big for him at the combine.
Just, you know, I whatever they do, I hope that they don't gamble and take, you know, I hope it's something safe that works, that plugs and plays, and I hope it's a difference maker.
Yeah.
And I prefer it to be defense so we can stop the bleeding, because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if John Elway is throwing the ball. If you're giving up 30 points a game, you know, you're always playing from behind. If you can't stop the bleeding, it doesn't matter who's playing quarterback.
All right, so I think that we've exhausted this subject, and I'm exhausted, and I got to go back to work.
Yeah, until next time.
Dante Buchanan said he chose Tampa Bay over the Giants because New York fans are blank. I don't want to use that word. He doesn't like the New York fans. So that's it. Forget it. We don't need him.
Seriously.
All right. Well, that's it for us this week, and we'll be back next week. Hopefully we'll have some good news. And hopefully we'll have a little more clarity on which direction this franchise is going. But thanks for listening. This has been the Giants Guys. I'm John Fennelly. That's Craig Santucci. We'll see you next week.
Pretty good.